Prices are up all over the city. Now, is this due to the fact that the Christmas holiday season is historically slow, or is it because that Calgary is in a super hot seller's market right now, with prices expected to rise all throughout the year? Let's go find out. Hi, my name's Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. If you want to create a game plan or figure out how these numbers can affect your personal situation, then go ahead and click the very first link in the description. So I'm not going to read this out in its entirety, but feel free to pause the video, read it, and then listen to my recap. Basically, what Anne-Marie is trying to say is that demand is strong while listings are lacking. Now, the amount of new homes coming on the market is not nearly enough to keep up with current demand. Now, our demand is strong, but it's not nearly as strong as it was early last year. If more homeowners decided to sell their homes right now, as they have been in long-term trends, we would most likely be in a more balanced market. Now, those prices don't really fluctuate that much, but seeing as the selection of homes is so small, buyers are making aggressive offers, putting that upward pressure on price. Now, typically, as the spring rolls around, new listings do come on the market, but at the same time, there's more people who get excited to go house shopping. So with that being said, I will be very interested to watch and see if there is more demand than there is supply, continuing the seller's market all throughout the year. So here's a quick snapshot of year-over-year price trends in Calgary. Now, total residential is still up by 1.5% from last year's pricing and continuing on that upwards trend. Everything else except semi-detached seems to be increasing as well. Now, semi-detached homes always seems to be on a roller coaster, as price fluctuates are very exciting to watch. For the most part, February is typically a month where we see increases from January, as the holiday season is officially over. Now, this year, like every other normal year, there has been increases, but the demand is simply outweighing the supply. You can see that the sales were at 1,700, new listings were at 2,300, outpacing October, November, and December, which is great to see, by the way. And inventory increased to 2,700 units. Now, we need to dive into these individually to get the full picture. Price jumped up $10K from last month, which is a lot more than most people were probably expecting to see, myself included. Last time that we actually saw that type of increase was between February and March of last year. Now, this all looks good, but we need to break it down even further. Okay, so let's take a peek at the map of Calgary. Now, this is total residential for each quadrant, so all property types morphed into one stat. Right off the hop, I can say that these percentages are quite low, and it's fairly good to see, in my opinion. Now, do you remember last year? Now, take a look at March 2022. We have double digits growth there. Now, this is just for reference, but it's pretty crazy to see. But check out Calgary West of this year. You can see that this is the first time that we've actually seen a red arrow in well over a year. Now, does that mean that all prices are falling in Calgary West? No, we need to break it down even further and find out which property types are actually dragging down that overall stat. You can see from the price trends in each section that prices are mainly trending upwards in most areas. So I am quite curious to see what's going on in West Calgary. Next, let's figure out which quadrants are in the most demand in Calgary. Now, here's a graph that visualizes the months of supply for each quadrant of Calgary. If you need an explanation of what this is, then please watch my video explaining how to understand these reports. From a quick glance, you can see that most property types are under 1.5 months of supply, which is pretty crazy to see if I'm being honest. That means that most quadrants are still in some serious demand. There are so many buyers in most quadrants right now that if a home gets listed with good marketing and fair market value, then the likelihood of that home selling is very high. City Center seems to be struggling with a lot of inventory right now. Now, there is demand in Calgary as a whole, but in City Center, you need to put a little bit better of a concentration on your price point if you plan to list. Now, right now for buyers, it looks like the best deals could be soaked up in the semi-detached homes in City Center. Now, why do you think that is? Well, because most of them are most likely listed between $700,000 and $1.2 million, making it a fairly niche market. Now, like usual, I'm not going to read this out, but if you are interested in a certain property type, please pause the video and read what the Calgary Real Estate Board has to say about each. Understanding the general market before buying or selling is super important. If you want to talk about a strategy, go ahead and book a call with me. Last but probably the most exciting is the microeconomic outlook for each property type in each quadrant of Calgary. Now, I will break this chart down in a lot more detail in my upcoming videos being published throughout the coming week. But while we're here, let's touch on a couple of things. The sales to new listing ratio in each quadrant really don't make it out to be a super hot seller's market. Only about 70% sales to new listing average across all homes in Calgary. You would think that a seller's market would be around like 90% and more. So Anne-Marie has also mentioned that the inventory is the lowest it's been since 2006. So only 1,300 detached homes were left over at the end of the month in all of Calgary, a city of 1.4 million people. There were only 876 apartments, 255 detached homes, and 327 townhouses. Now, those are some fairly low numbers for the size of our city. So moving along, we already discussed the month of supply in our previous slide. Here are your prices for each quadrant, and here are your year-over-year percentages. And our first negative year-over-year, and this is brought to you by Detached Homes in Calgary West. No surprise there. If you really haven't driven through Springbank or Aspen Hills, I would strongly recommend it. It's a very nice area, and from what I've found, typically the most expensive homes have the largest swings in like price fluctuations. So apartments are doing well as the affordable product in Calgary is getting swallowed up, and townhouses follow suit as they are in some of the biggest demand also. Now, if we look at the month over month, this is where it gets a lot more fun, and here are those percentages. Now, Calgary is trying to start 2023 with some haymakers. So $28,000 increase for detached homes in 1 month in Northwest, $26,000 for detached in South, $20,000 in City Center. Apartments in the Southeast saw a massive $21,000 hike in 1 month, a product only worth $300,000. Personally, I really wouldn't want to be buying an apartment down there right now. $26,000 increase for semis in Calgary South, $23,000 for townhouses in City Center. So this is why it's important to break down the numbers. From here, you can even dive into specific communities of interest to get the full scope of your personal situation. Every community is going to be a little bit different, and every quadrant is definitely going to be a little different. Like always, take the time, break down the numbers, and find a realtor that you can really trust. If you have any questions, please go ahead and book a call with me. It's going to be a very interesting year. I truly hope you get some value from these videos. Please share it with your friends. So until next time, peace.